It's 24-hour readathon time. It's 24-hour readathon time. I say 24, you say hour. 24. Did you say it? I have no way of knowing because I cannot hear you, so. This is a 24-hour readathon, if you couldn't tell. A little bit chaos edition because I am so tired right now, which is not the energy you want entering into a 24-hour readathon. Last night I stayed up so incredibly late watching Maxton Hill. If you guys have seen it, please tell me. I'm currently obsessed. Anyway, so I stayed up late and then this morning I had to get up at 6 a.m. So I'm on that under 6 hours of sleep and hoping to stay up as late as possible tonight to read. The first book I'll be reading is The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I started this book a few days ago. I've mostly been listening to the audiobook and I'm on chapter 38, which is page 308. And then I have quite a few other new releases that we'll talk about later after I finish The Reappearance of Rachel Price. We're also gonna start this video off with some caffeine. The other thing that makes this 24-hour readathon a little bit different than normal is it is exactly 1 p.m. Normally I try and start these in the morning so that I can ideally at least attempt to read for 24 hours straight and go from like an 8 a.m. to an 8 a.m. But going from a 1 p.m. to like 1 p.m. tomorrow feels crazy, but we'll see what happens. And if any of you guys have not read this book, it basically follows Belle and she's doing this documentary about her mom, Rachel Price, who disappeared, I think 16 years ago. And then Rachel Price reappears. I'm like very intrigued and hooked on the mystery, but we're literally almost done. And I have zero theories, which is a little weird for me. I feel like in a mystery by this point, even if my theories were wrong, I would have like theories and ideas. I think why I have no idea what's gonna happen with the mystery is we don't really have much evidence, which I'm not sure how to feel about. Like we definitely have a lot of little things that make us like suspicious of certain characters, but like no real concrete proof or clues of anything. So it just feels very wide open at this point, and I'm so intrigued how it's gonna get wrapped up in the next like 130 pages. I would say right now I'm at like 3.75 stars, so that could go up or down depending on the ending. All right, let's get started. 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds starting now. Let's get reading. I just got to page 334 and this is crazy. What I just read, I did not expect. Things are picking up so quickly. And I am so glad that I have you guys to chat about with this book because I'm like, what is going on? I need to know what everyone is thinking about chapter 41. Okay, yeah, everyone is just as shocked as me. I love the camaraderie. Also, look how cute my phone case is. I also got, let me show you, a computer case and an AirPods case. Look how adorable they are. They're so colorful. It makes me so excited for summer. And they're from Berga, who has kindly sponsored today's video. And Berga phone cases have been used by some of my favorite celebrities, which is so cool. Like you could get a phone case to match the one that Taylor Swift or Lucy Hale were seen using. And I've been seeing Berga phone cases trending all over TikTok, probably because they are so cute and adorable, but also durable. And they have over 200 unique designs. I had such a hard time choosing which ones I wanted to get because I literally loved all of them so much, and I ended up getting all different designs just to be fun, but you could get a matching design for all of your devices, which feels so satisfying. My favorite are their Elite cases. They have raised bezels around the screen and camera to protect the glass from a flat fall. And it has cloud gate technology, which absorbs 90% of the impact force. I also think Berga cases make the perfect gifts. Like if there's anyone in your life and you're like, I'm not sure what to get them, pretty much everyone has a phone or AirPods or a laptop, and everyone wants their devices to look cute. And if you click my link, you can get 4 Berga cases for the price of 2, which is amazing. And then I also have a discount code AliX15 that will get the first 50 people who use it 15% off. So thank you again, Berga, for sponsoring this video and making all of my devices so cute. Anyway, let's get back to reading. Listening with a mystery soundtrack goes hard. Listen to this song. It's so intense, and this part in the book is also so intense. So it's like perfect. I'm on the edge of my seat. Also, we are 21 hours and 46 minutes in. Back to my intense music. I just looked at my timer on my phone and it was paused. I've been pausing the timer when I'm not reading, like if I'm like changing the camera angle. So I must have paused it the last time I was like filming myself reading and then forgot to resume it. And I have no idea how long ago that was. So I might be reading for a little more than 24 hours, but that's okay. We have 20 hours and 52 minutes left, which means I've been reading for 3-ish hours. And I finished the book. It was so good. I loved it. Literally the last like 130 pages, amazing. I think I'm gonna say 4 stars overall, just because I think I like Shirley Jackson's other books better. I didn't like quite bond with Belle as a main character, but this one was such a unique concept and I loved how fast-paced the ending was. It kind of makes me want to read another mystery, but I don't think I have any other new release mysteries. So we're gonna switch to romance. Funny Story honestly is probably the one I'm most excited to read, but I kind of feel like I should save this one for my 3rd book. That'll probably be when I'm either the most tired in general or just like the most tired of reading. So I think saving this for 3rd will help me get through this challenge easier because it'll be really good. So there's 2 other romance options. The first one is The Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune and How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. And because I'm so indecisive, I posted a poll asking you guys which one I should read yesterday, and I have not checked the poll. I have no idea which one's won, so let's see which one has. Honestly, so close. This Summer Will Be Different won with 54% and How to End a Love Story has 46%. Okay, I'm excited. This is my first like summary book of the year, which I think is gonna be really fun. I really know very little about it. Besides that, our main character is Lucy and the love interest is her friend's brother. It just turned 7 p.m. and I think it's time to see if I can cook dinner while reading because I'm getting hungry. It's 9:30. I've been reading for about 7.5 hours. We have 16.5 hours left and I'm on page 159. I've been really liking the book a lot, which makes me nervous because the 2 other Carly Fortune books I've read, Every Summer After and Meet at the Lake, I also really loved those books until the ending. So I'm nervous, like I don't want to be this invested and then not like the ending of another Carly Fortune book again. But I feel like it's gonna be fine. This book really makes me feel like it's the adult version of The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's not like literally the same plot of The Summer I Turned Pretty, but there's just so many elements that remind me of that book and I love that book. Like instead of brother's best friend, it's best friend's brother. It's told through like many summers from when she was younger up until now, which just makes me so like nostalgic for childhood summers and I love that feeling. And Felix, the male love interest in this book, is described as so attractive. I've literally been picturing him as the main guy in Maxton Hall, but with brown hair. If you can't tell, I am very dramatically having Maxton Hall withdrawals. I'm honestly just eating this book up. And speaking of eating, I made cookies. I went for a sunset walk and listened to the audiobook and then made cookies, which is so great. I love 24-hour readathons. I feel like this has been the best day so far. Like I am tired, but it's just so relaxing to be able to be like, I can't check my phone. I'm not gonna look at social media. I'm not gonna look at my emails. Like I am undistractable and uncontactable because I have to be reading for 24 hours. And I love that. So anyway, in the most cozy next step of the night, I will be reading and eating cookies. I have just under 100 pages left and 14 hours left on our timer. Carly Fortune, I feel like with all her books, but especially this book, she just has such a great way of wording thoughts and feelings to where I'm like, yes, I relate to that. And this book especially, I feel like is great if you're in your mid-20s. There's so much that the characters are going through of like dealing with a past breakup, dealing with navigating your career and figuring out like what actually makes you happy with your job, friendships, growing up, life just changing, just, I don't know, a lot of things that I feel like I am relating to at like this time in my life. I feel like it's a book with a lot of feelings, which I like. Also, the tiredness is setting in. I'm so sleepy. My goal is to at least finish this book tonight by 2 a.m. It is 1:30 in the morning. I did finish This Summer Will Be Different, which is so exciting. So 2 books done today. I feel like that is the perfect time to go to bed, and I think I'm gonna save my like final review and rating on this book for tomorrow. But I really liked it. It's definitely a very realistic romance, which I really appreciate. Like that, there's something nice about that. It like scratches a certain part of your brain where it very much feels like real life, even though it still is like a romance book and has fun tropes and things like that. It did move a little slower for me in like the second half, so that's mostly why I'm not sure like what my final rating is. But I'm gonna go to bed, and then tomorrow we'll move on to Funny Story by Emily Henry. I'm so excited. Good night, and I'll see you guys in the morning. I didn't realize this is all the juice I have left. What a sad morning juice. My cat Luca did get me up at 6:30 this morning, and I had gone to bed at 1:30, so still going on that little amount of sleep. But that's okay, because Funny Story is gonna carry us through today. First, my final rating for This Summer Will Be Different. I think I'm gonna say 4.25 stars. I may change that in the future just because I feel like this is a book that I need to let sit and sink in. It's either gonna be a book that I don't continue to think about, or I do continue to think about and I don't know which way it's going. It's like that romance that you crave. You know they have explosive chemistry, but the characters can't quite seem to get it right each time. And the summer vibes are great. It's cool to have an author where you've read all their books. I feel like I can see Carly Fortune's writing just getting better and better. And none of her books have been a 5-star for me yet, but I feel like they will because she's such a good writer. So Carly Fortune, I feel like your next book is gonna be 5 stars for me. I really feel it. Anyway, next up is Funny Story. I actually started the audiobook this morning just while I was getting dressed, and I just finished chapter 1. Daphne just got broken up with by her fiance. He left her for his childhood friend, I think Petra. And Petra's ex is Miles. Petra left Miles for Daphne's fiance. So Daphne and Miles move in together as roommates because neither of them have anyone to live with now, which I think is kind of a fun setup. And this is a special edition, and the hardcover is them in water. I don't know if this is like a summary book, but this hardcover made me think, would this be fun to sit and read by the pool? So I'm wearing a swimsuit under my overalls. I think I'm gonna keep listening to the audiobook while I like finish getting ready, and then I will go sit by the pool. I just hit page 100, which means it took me about 3 hours to read 100 pages. That's pretty accurate for me. Maybe a little slow. And I'm really liking the book. I was curious going into this if it would be more like Happy Place by Emily Henry or more like Beach Read by Emily Henry. To me, Beach Read, People Who Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers had so much depth to them, but were ultimately like fun, banter-filled romances. And then I felt like Happy Place was a bit different for Emily Henry, more so a fiction about life that also had a romance plot in it. And I feel like this one is kind of the perfect like combo of our main character going through like the messy, complicated, sucky feelings that you have after a breakup, but also experiencing those butterflies of meeting somebody new, all the possibility of where that could go. At least that's how I'm feeling as the reader. The scene I just finished in chapter 9 gave me such hard butterflies. Like, I feel so giddy for these two main characters. We are 15.5 hours into this challenge, and I'm on page 146. It's so nice to be back in an Emily Henry book. I feel like she's just such a great writer. I marked this quote back on page 32 just to show like her metaphors are so good, how she describes things. She's talking about Miles and how he's like very charismatic. It says, "For someone with the innate social charm of a mounted fish, me, watching Miles befriend this stranger felt like seeing Michelangelo paint the Sistine Chapel. Impressive, but also dizzying. Like any second, he might fall off his ladder and splatter on the marble below." Like, I would have never in a million years like put those words together in my head to describe something, but it's so accurate. Anyway, it's also a good summer book. It's a more subtle summer book than like the Carly Fortune book I just read, but it does take place during summer and it is this beachy town. And she is planning to move away at the end of summer, which is quite a big obstacle like to them getting together, so I'm curious where that's going. I don't know what the official day of summer is, but it is so hot outside here in Texas, so getting to read like 2 summery books in this video is really nice. The summer vibes are vibing. The scene I'm in is the scene on the hardcover. It's been like low-key really fun reading and then being like, wait, that's this scene. Wait, that's this scene. Like to like see it visually. Luca, I wish I was doing what you're doing right now. Sleeping. Oh, that was so cute. This feels like the most dramatic, moody lighting ever, but it is 9:59. We have 2 hours and 55 minutes left, and I finished Funny Story. It was so good. I think I'm gonna say 4.5 stars. I really, really loved it. Emily Henry honestly never misses. Like even my least favorite book by her, I think are People We Meet on Vacation and Happy Place, but I still gave those 4 stars. Like to have an author where the lowest rating you've ever given one of their books is 4 stars is so great. The only reason I'm not saying 5 stars is just because, okay, you know that feeling when you're reading a romance where you're like head over heels obsessed, like want to stay up late reading it, can't put it down. I didn't quite have that feeling with this romance. Not for any particular reason. I feel like that like magic lightning feeling you get with some romances really is just personal, like whether you personally like really deeply resonate with the characters. And I think some of her other books have just done that more for me, like with Beach Read, but it was still so good. I also really loved Miles, from his like messy hair to his tattoos to the way he is always trying to take care of and be there for everyone. Now, there are 3 hours left, which is such a weird amount of time. Like we are definitely gonna start a 4th book, but not gonna be able to finish a 4th book. The books I'm considering for book 4 is number 1, we could do the romance How to End a Love Story, or I have 3 fantasies that are 2024 releases. There's Veiled Kingdom, Heartless Hunter, which is a young adult fantasy that sounds so good. I think it's Enemies to Lovers, which is my favorite trope. And then Ruthless Vows. It would be so satisfying to finish a series that I'm in the middle of. I'm so torn because we just read 2 romances in a row, so I would love to break it up, but I don't know if I have the mental capacity to read a fantasy, because fantasy always has like world building and it's just more complex. I really think reading a mystery would be so perfect for what I'm in the mood for, but I checked all of my mysteries and not a single one of them are 2024 releases. So I think I'm gonna go with How to End a Love Story. I'm so intrigued because I've never read any book by this author before. I'm pretty sure it's her debut book, and I just read 3 books in a row by authors that I love. So I feel like it'll be really fun to read a book by a new author. To be fully transparent, before I start How to End a Love Story, I think I'm gonna take like a 2 to 3 song dance break. I feel like I've been sitting for 2 days straight because I've basically been sitting for 2 days straight. I need to move around, break it up, and then we'll get back to reading. I will, of course, be pausing our timer. Already paused it. I will now be listening to some of my favorite music while you will be listening to copyright-free music. Sorry. I just read the first sentence and it is not what I expected. All things considered, his little sister's funeral is a pretty boring affair. And now I'm like, is this book gonna be sad? I feel like the last 2 books I read were more serious romances, so I could honestly go for a lighter, fun romance, which is kind of what I was expecting with this book, but maybe it's gonna be more serious. I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading and we'll see. I've decided to read in the bath. It's so nice and relaxing. This book is heavier than I thought. It deals with some tougher topics like grief. The first sentence of the synopsis really sums this up really well. It says, Helen hasn't seen Grant once in the 13 years since the tragic accident that bound their lives together forever. And I know I've read the synopsis of this book before, but I just had completely forgotten about that part. And that tragic accident is quite heavy and like quite complicated and messy and feels very hard for them to overcome and work through all of their like complicated feelings surrounding that accident. But one thing that I think is really fun about this book is that our main character Helen is a best-selling author, and she wrote this book that's being turned into a TV show. So her and Grant are both writers on the TV show. I just love any behind the scenes on film and TV. I think is so fun. That's one thing I didn't really talk about with the reappearance of Rachel Price. That book takes place on the set of a true crime documentary, and I loved that. I loved this part on page 44 where Grant talks about what it's like being in the writer's room on a TV set. It says, it's the moment when a room full of relative strangers becomes a room full of people who have speed run through the motions of friendship. They know things about each other that their own partners and parents and friends don't know, or at least haven't heard told like this. It's not true friendship. He knows he isn't friends with everyone he's ever worked with, but he likes knowing things about them. It makes him feel better, hearing the stories that stick in other people's brains, the interactions that keep them up at night, the things they obsess over and care about against their will, the things that make them feel vulnerable and human too. And I just think that is like such an insightful and like cool tidbit. I never really thought about the fact that this group of people who have to write this story that is a culmination in a way of their own thoughts and feelings and experiences that they're drawing from. So they're strangers, but you're spending all day with them and sharing such, you know, vulnerable, deep parts of yourself to get this story written and to get ideas. And that's gotta be such a weird relationship where it's like, you're not really friends, you're coworkers, but you know so much about each other. That was the timer. That's 24 hours. I am so sleepy, so I'm honestly happy that we've hit our time, but I made it to page 118 in the book, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's really cute. Don't know like what my final rating is gonna be. I feel bad leaving you guys hanging. My prediction is that I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I think it's cute. I don't feel like crazy passionate about it yet. Maybe even 3.5, depending where the rest of the book goes, but we'll see. It's also cool to read this because this author is directing the movie adaptation of Beach Read by Emily Henry, and then she's also writing the screenplay adaptation of Emily Henry's book, People We Meet on Vacation. So it's interesting before those movies come out to read kind of how she writes. This book deals a lot with grief, and then Beach Read also deals a lot with grief. So that gives me confidence that she can really do a great job directing Beach Read. Okay, I'm going to get out of the bed. No, get out of the bath and go to bed. Thank you guys for joining me on this 24-hour readathon. Good night.